listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Can't get enough baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There's nobody I'd rather have on the podcast right now than G Love the Cat. Fact. What do you get to say, G Love the Cat?
What do you got, G? You got anything to
say? Strong silent type.
Oh.
And there's also no one I'd rather have on the podcast right now than G Love's handler, Michelle. Well, how are you?
Good. How's it going? Thank you for having me on.
It's good. Literally, like the last time I saw you, you were at a locker in Citi Field. So,
that's right. Yep. And it was your birthday. I think it was your birthday.
It was my birthday, the worst birthday that I've ever had. You had nothing to do with it being bad, but it was just a terrible birthday, punctuated that day by waiting in that aforementioned clubhouse till 11 o'clock at night for Rafael Devers to talk and then him not talking. That is what it is. But it's, man, like it's rare that we can have a definitive date, but thank you for remembering my birthday.
Big.
September 3rd. Yeah. September 3rd.
That was, it comes, yep. Bryce's birthday is right around the corner too. So you're 1 month away from Bryce. 1 month.
You know what that is? That's the day that you become the parent of a teenager.
That's right. I know. He's going to be 13. Jeez.
Wow. You're right. Hey, listen, no matter what, understand that you made Rich Hill the soon-to-be parent of a teenager, the oldest professional athlete in any all sports, made major league hitters look silly just in a matter of a few weeks ago. There you go. There you go. Let it be said, let it be done.
That's right. Yeah, short and sweet. It was fun, but, too short. It was great. Yeah, it was great to have that kind of all come together and a lot of positives to take from it. 20 years is a long time, and being able to get the opportunity to be home for the summer to watch, and help coach Bryce's teams was probably the best part of the summer. I thought that was I got more joy out of that than I thought I would. That was so fulfilling, I guess. And you hear it all the time from dads or whoever it is, if it's dads of a former player or who played or whatever, just watching your kids play and enjoy whatever it is that they're doing. In this case, Bryce with baseball, being able to watch him go through the whole summer with his buddies on his team and watching them laugh and, just little, not even so much the stuff that happens on the field, right? It's the in between the games, the concession stands, the, batting practices or whatever it might be, just even practices. But yeah, little moments throughout the entire summer, very, very enjoyable.
Well, so, we in synopsis, so we going way back to say the beginning of the calendar year, you laid out this plan, you had 3 major league offers to go to teams. You said, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to go dominate 2 broadcasts down in spring training. I'm going to fly Spirit Airlines to Fort Myers.
No water.
Resist paying for the water. And by the way, I put up the photo, like when you started pitching and oh my God, you worked so quick. It was so awesome. It was so great. And so I'm like, you're pitching like you need to go somewhere. And I had the picture of you we took with a Baseballs and Boring t-shirt holding the suitcase. And somebody noticed, like, the Spirit Airlines tag on the suitcase. They're like,
Yeah.
Hill flew Spirit Airlines. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I would have walked. I would have walked to get down there.
Well, don't say that because it might be coming.
Yeah, they might do that.
But when you have that whole plan about coaching Bryce's team and then dropping in and getting ready and signing with a team for the stress drive, like all of that, I would imagine there's like it worked out in the sense of you got a chance to do all that. But I would imagine that like along the lines of what you were saying, some of it was a lot different in different ways. And one of the biggest things that was different probably for you, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but probably the impact you had of actually being around your son and his team and coaching those kids, as you just said, was probably more. And then probably coming back as a Major League Baseball player, as you did, was probably more difficult than maybe you anticipate. Like not in the sense of physically, but in terms of you know what I'm saying?
I don't, and that's the thing I think that to understand, for whoever's listening, is just being able to do something at that level and then be away from it for, basically a year and then get back into it. It's not like, oh yeah, you should just kind of like, get right into it.
You did. I mean, that's almost what you did, though.
Yeah, but in some senses, doing that, it's also like, the educational side of it always is there for myself as a player. Is like, as much work as was put in over the summer to get to the point of getting the opportunity and successfully being able to pitch, and then have that come together and actually get called up with the Red Sox. Still, I guess I want to say, like, that's why we have spring training. That's why we have, the beginning part of the season or whatever. It's just, you have these kind of ebbs and flows throughout the season. But it all comes back to, I guess what I'm trying to get at is baseball. Like, being in baseball shape is completely different than being in, shape to run, a marathon or whatever. It's just a different type of, playing that sport, whatever sport that is, to be in that type of shape. I guess that goes back to what I'm saying about spring training, is that's why we have like, spring training to be able to go through those, ups and downs through the course of that time that we have within the month and a half before the season starts.
But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, but that's so knowing that, and you mapped it out, right? You stayed in shape, you threw, you went down to the Cape, you threw to hitters, you checked off all the boxes, you did the showcase, you do the 1-2 innings in the minor leagues, and then you get called up, right? You do all that, and now you're talking about like the preparation and being in shape, whatever. What was the thing that you did that maybe didn't anticipate? Because like not a lot of people have done this, Rich. Like really, maybe Roger. I don't know. Like I had Paul Bird on. He did it, but
I think when I look back, I guess, and I don't know if maybe I think looking at where I would have probably been best suited is in that starting role and or opener, and basically because that's what I've been doing for the last 8-9 years, and just being able to get back into something where it's so I guess the point that I'm making is that the bullpen, even though I did that for 5 years back from 2010 to 2015, those guys deserve all the credit in the world. That is, in my opinion, probably one of the hardest jobs in professional sports is pitching out of the bullpen, especially, on any given night. It's the most, thankless job. It's basically, a kicker in football. You're expected to make the field goal, right? So, and when you don't, that's the only time that anybody asks you any questions. But as a starter, conversely, that might be, the best job in sports next to, maybe somebody on the PGA Tour or something like that, because every fifth day that you're going to pitch, you have a routine leading up to that. There's kind of, again, like we've talked about, if there's a symphony to starting, that would be, obviously orchestrating the game. Relieving would be like heavy metal running through a car wash with, everybody swinging a bat at you.
Hold on, let me write that down. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's funny because you had, if you're, see if I can remember what you just said, running through a car wash, with everyone swinging a bat at you, like, heavy metal, whatever, then you would have had like what you sort of not endured, that's the wrong word, experienced was 5 car washes with like twice the amount of guys throwing in at bats. And here's the reason why, is because, okay, you come in and you do your first 2, boom, boom, boom. There it is. Right? You're feeling good. And then you have the back-to-back in your third appearance, and it's this, there's a lot to pick through with that appearance, honestly. It just is, because it's we look at, it was obviously planned out. They had said it was planned out. This was planned out. You said you didn't even know that Cooper Criswell was throwing a perfect game, right?
Yeah, and I've was an unfortunate benefactor of getting taken out of a perfect game back in, I believe it was 2016, and that that's there's got to be I don't know what the answer is, but I think that when things like that are happening or going on, we're at like I don't want to say it's a crossroads, but the front office and the analytical side of the game, and then if you want to call it, I don't know if you even want to call it, but baseball people, you want to call it that? Does that sound fair?
You're talking about sort of the
like
old
players,
school mentality?
Former players,
right.
Eyes on the field, pulse of the dugout, pulse of the clubhouse. Where, what would that be? Would that be baseball?
Yeah, no, the people, the people who are riding the wave of what's going on at the time, not what's, anyway.
Right. So you have a feel of, okay, let's say somebody's 0 for 2 as a hitter, right? But you can tell when they're coming back to the dugout if they're dragging that. Just use for instance, where you can create this visual in your head where they're coming off moping, dragging their bat, not happening, but you know what I'm saying, as opposed to like somebody coming back, like grabbing the bat and they're like, damn it, I just missed that fucking pitch. I was right there. You know what I mean? Like you can see that in the hitter and you're like, I'm going to give him a third at bat. You know what I mean? Let's say if it's a situation where, a righty comes in and whoever's up is a right-handed hitter, they're 0 for 2, but you see them come back with that type of attitude. And you have a lefty, on the bench that is well equipped to hit, but hasn't been in the game, kind of in that symphony on that day. And you take the hitter out that is this close to getting, that can sense it, as opposed to the hitter who's coming back kind of like feeling sorry for themselves. Maybe that's when you make the switch, right? And either or, you're going to get questioned depending upon the result. Mm-hmm. Right. So if whoever the right-handed hitter is and you have a right-handed pitcher, but you have a lefty on the bench, strikes out, why didn't you go to, lefty? If he hits a single, what made you go with why did you stay with the righty? But that's what I feel as far as being able to see some of those decisions going out the window throughout baseball altogether. You know what I mean?
It's interesting.
I'm talking the same thing as no hitters, perfect games.
Right.
Everybody's getting excited about this combined no hitter that's going to happen. That's great, but why did the guy come out who had the no hitter in the first place? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I get it if he's at like 110 pitches or 115 pitches, but I certainly don't think that's the issue going forward for to cause a stir for injuries. I don't think the no hitter is going to be the line of demarcation where it was like this is where he got hurt. He threw 120 pitches and he threw a no hitter, and later on in the season something else happens. But we look back to that outing as that's where that pitcher got injured. Or that's what started the process.
But it's interesting because you've been on both sides of it, right? You talk about being taken out in a perfect game. We all know about being taken out in the World Series game, and in both cases you were starters. In this case, you were the guy coming in, and once again, it's even at that time when you came in. We go back to the car wash analogy. There's a week before or 2 weeks before you were throwing in a field in Cooperstown.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality of it. You look great the first 2 times. This is a back-to-back, and so they're thinking, and I think I totally hear what you're saying, where you're gonna be asked either way. Like either way, if you leave Criswell in another inning, and he loses the lead, because I think it was a 1-run game at the time.
Yeah.
1-0, and then he loses the lead, you're going to be asked about that. If you bring in, you gave up a home run, you're going to be asked about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that you and I are of the same mindset, where your situation aside, I still am going to, as long as it's reasonable, you're still going to read the room. And that's the problem I have in decisions like this. And I get it. Like, Alex Cora is a great manager.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of people that go into this decision even beyond Alex Cora.
Right.
And I just feel like there are situations where I think you articulated it perfectly. It's reading the room. And we've talked about this going back to, a million different examples. It just happens that this was the one that you went through. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I firmly believe, like, you see what you see, and you just continue to keep going with it. I mean, that's whether you want to say, oh, that's the way it used to be. I don't think that's the way, when you're throwing a no-hitter or you have a perfect game, that's not the way it used to be. That's the way it is. You don't talk about it. You don't say anything about it. You don't ask the guy, like, hey, you got a no-hitter going. How you feeling? Do you want to keep going? It's like, no shit. Of course you want to keep pitching. I mean, anybody would be crazy to want to come out of the game, right? But yeah, I think there's a lot more that goes into it now than just the guys that are in the dugout.
How did you feel? That was a back-to-back. How did you feel when you came out? That was like in Detroit compared to the game before. In other words, again, I think you only thrown like 10 pitches the game before, whatever, but still, it's a back-to-back.
But that's irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter if you throw 10 pitches or you throw 25 pitches, because that's I don't know how to put it. Like, you can say, oh, well, he only threw 10 pitches the day before. Now, this goes for anybody. This isn't just for myself, but the next day is a completely different day. It's not like you're going into like, oh, okay, you only threw 10 pitches the day before, so you should be good to go, 60 pitches the next day, because we know you can throw 70 pitches, right? It's not just as simple as that. I think it just depends on, situation, what that, how that took a toll on your body, how you slept, whatever. All this stuff can go into it to figure out, like, how many times did you get up the day before? I know that's a big thing now. There, and it has been for a while. It's been, that way for the last probably 10 or 12 years, where they've been really trying to monitor how many times guys have gotten up and, just make sure that they're aware of how many times those relievers got hot, like ready to go in the game, and then sat back down. That doesn't mean that like the next day, like they haven't pitched in 4 days, but they should be able to, come in and give us 3 innings on that day. Well, the 4 days before that they haven't pitched, they've been up, every day, and some of those days they've gotten up twice. And hot and ready to go. So, which everybody's aware of. I think but I also think that that's something that doesn't get, enough emphasis too on the stress of the relievers before they come in.
How did you feel? Like, take that aside, and how did you feel by the time you got into pitching? Right, you feel that first game, Fenway Park. Let's go.
Yeah.
Even the second game, like there's adrenaline, but as you said,
I mean, look, I think there's something to like, okay, back-to-back days and being able to kind of go through that and having it be obviously like a truncated type of I don't know. I'm not trying to make. I'm not. The excuses. I'm not down. That's the road where I don't want to go down.
But that's why I'm asking. Like, just like, because it was as you said, it was a sprint through the car wash. This was the plan. This is the deal to a certain extent. But I'm just like, I just want to know how you felt. Like having gone, because not a lot. As I said, not a lot of guys have gone through this. No matter what the end result was, not a lot of guys had done what you did.
Yeah, I think going back to even when I was throwing bullpens or whatever, getting ready to do this, I think that having some of those back-to-back days, it's still, let's face it still doesn't prepare you as much as you think it's going to go into a major league game on back-to-back days coming out of the bullpen. I think that's one thing that especially where it's like, okay, that's where if you take, if we go and we look at spring training as an example, right? And you take it as, okay, you're going to have, an outing, 2 days off, an outing, 3 days off, an outing, and then 2 days off, and then a back-to-back. Usually that's kind of like the schedule for relievers. You're going to have the first outing, 2 days off, an outing, 2 days off, an outing, 1 day off, usually an outing, and then 2 days off, and then a back-to-back, and then you kind of like going off into the, ready for the season. But not having that kind of spring training, so to speak, I guess, puts you in a little bit of a different situation. And, the other side of it too, going back to well over, 2011 or 2010, where we didn't have the 3-batter minimum, right? So now you have the 3-batter minimum, which also throws in another kind of, hey, look, you're coming in back-to-back days or whatever. There's no, you have to get, if you're coming in at the end of the inning or whatever with 2 outs, okay, that gives you a little bit less. It gives you more leeway, I guess, to put guys on or whatever might happen. But if you're coming in to obviously start the inning to get 3 outs, you better be pretty efficient. So that's the way I look at it as far as like just being able to be prepared to get ready to go back-to-back days. I think that's something that was something that probably was a little bit more challenging than I would think.
With the guys that, when you, like you said, the first 2 outings and you're bobbing and weaving your way through it. I'm going to even say the first 3 outings, including the one in AAA, and you go in thinking, okay, my stuff is playing, my philosophy is playing, my approach is playing, and it is, because Rich, it's never about the numbers, it's about hitters' reactions. Like that's what it was.
Yeah.
So let's go through those first 2 outings. The hitters' reactions were impressive for you. I mean,
right.
did it? I don't want to say did it surprise you, but it just say, okay, This is what I was talking about. This is working like I had hoped that it would. Like you
Yeah.
said, the back-to-back thing was something maybe that you can't get past because you need more time, but the actual getting guys out with what you had.
Yeah, no, I mean the stuff was there. The stuff
Yeah.
definitely played. There was no I think maybe a little bit of the refinement piece of it. And I also think, being able to given the opportunity to start, like I was that's where, fully preparing to do that and then having the opportunity to relieve. I think that, where that breaking ball, if you want to call it a sweeper or whatever from the side, just really played extremely well to left-handed hitters was something that, I was like, all right, I gotta, kind of sell out for this and use that to the best of my ability moving forward throughout this next month. And I think that that's something that, I was comfortable with doing. And also, the fastball was plenty good enough to continue to keep playing at that level as well. Even I remember throwing that backdoor cutter, kind of ran across into Vladimir Guerrero Jr. there, and he rolled over and hit it to third base for an out. But that just little things that that you're kind of like going through something that you would be doing, maybe in spring training, but you're doing it during the season, right? So it's a little bit that's where that. The part where a shortened stint in AAA, given the time that was available before, being called up to for September 1st, hopefully to get the opportunity to get into the playoffs and help the team in the playoffs, had to happen quick. So that wasn't something where it was like, hey, you have a month and a half to be able to kind of get to this point in the minor leagues before, we make a decision. But that's also kind of the timing of everything too.
What was some of the coolest things about the experience for you?
I think, I definitely just being able to, in Worcester, just getting back in a uniform, being around, other guys, the guys that were on the team were unbelievable, great guys, young players. It's just like, wow, I'm freaking old. I think that was like one of the that was really. I don't know how to say it. It's just like I don't feel that way. I don't feel 44, but when I look around and I see all the guys that were 2019, I'm like, shit. But that's
welcome to the club.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah. So yeah, that and being able to talk to the guys again about pitching. Like I really enjoyed helping, or whatever, just answering questions if guys had questions about preparation or just understanding pitch mixes, or hey, you don't have to throw every pitch as hard as you can to get guys out. You don't have to throw 95 plus to get major league hitters out. You have to know how to pitch. And I hope that is something that is coming back around, which I think it ultimately will, because I think we're at a crossroads again of seeing the increase of injuries where you're putting so many guys on the IL, and this might not be a sustainable model to move forward with this increase of trying to max effort every single pitch that we're throwing, and understand that.
Not only in Rich, not to interrupt, but I don't know if I had talked to you about this, about the conversation we had with Ottavino.
Yeah.
And not only you saying max effort every single pitch that you're throwing, but it's not only in the games. And this is what we talked about.
No, yeah,
it's like,
everything's measured.
Yeah,
everything's
like when you went to that first bullpen session in Worcester, fortunately you had a lot of track record and a big resume behind you. But a lot of guys who go to that bullpen, not just in any place, in any team, they're going to be measured by all these different machines and all these different, 5 sets of eyeballs from 5 sets of coaches.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Right.
So they got to do max effort right away.
Right. And I think that I don't know, at least if I were to get into coaching, I wouldn't get into coaching to coach to the numbers. I get into the coaching to get players better. Now, the argument to that was, well, the numbers are going to help us get the players better. Well, psychologically, when you have something that you're trying to hit every single time and you have a screen behind you and you throw a pitch and you're turning around, you're throwing a pitch and you're turning around, and you're throwing a pitch, you're questioning whether that was good enough. And, again, how can I make it better? Yeah, that's great. But how about we work on throwing strikes and then, expanding from being able to throwing strikes, consistently throwing strikes. I'd like to take a look at what the walk rates are in AAA and in the big leagues over the last, 2 years, just to see if there's been an increase. Just to see if it has anything to kind of correlate with trying to overcook everything. And when I say overcook everything, overthrow everything, trying to max effort everything. And then also with that is to see how much, the injury rate has gone up. I'd like to think that is the one reason, people will say, well, pitchers are throwing less. So it can't be, because they're throwing more, but they are throwing harder. They're also doing, the volume that they're putting on their elbow might not only come from throwing, but also, plyo balls, whatever they're doing in the gym as far as trying to create, more explosiveness out of their body. And can their arm handle that explosiveness from, what they're kind of putting together to go out there and be the best that they can be? Is one thing moving too faster than the other? I don't know the answers, but I know that there is something that is going on, and it just stinks to see where you're seeing like, Strider, for example, he goes down early in the season. That hurt the Braves tremendously, right? I mean, I think if he's healthy, they're probably on top of that division right now. Mm-hmm. And it's been going on throughout the entire league. It's been happening in AAA. It's happening in AA. You're hearing about, top prospects going down and guys that are going to need, UCL surgery. And I don't think that it should be something where it's like, oh yeah, he's just going to go in and get his elbow fixed and he's going to come back and be, just as good as he was before. Because we're seeing guys who are coming back and they're re-injuring themselves, or they're having issues again. Right. Or they're not as good as they were when they were healthy. Anyway, I'm kind of going on a rant.
No. Listen, this is the topic of baseball this year. And so there's always room for, it's not going to stop because.
But back to the point that we were saying in the beginning is just like, let's not measure every time a guy steps on a mound. Let's not try to see what his force is off of the, how much force he's pushing off of the mound. Let's just how about have a bullpen where it's like, hey, put all the toys away. Let's just throw strikes, execute. There will have, if you want to do a couple bullpens, maybe in between starts, you do one where you do measure it, and then you do another one where it's just, a touch and feel where, you're kind of out there and having a little bit more interpretation of how the ball is coming off your hand and making it do things maybe based off of, the day before with the measuring, and see if you can actually make that kind of work in certain counts and be creative, as opposed to, harder. Doesn't have to be the answer.
Last couple of things. I do want to ask sort of about how you left it with the Red Sox, when you left that, and then sort of like your initial feel, how you had mapped out your summer, and then it sort of took a turn like out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Just go through that, like how you left it with them.
You mean as far as,
Well, they let you know, they say, and it wasn't any mystery. Like they call up Luis Guerrero, who's making his major league debut. They say want to get they want to get younger. They will move in, or they want to try out some guys. And but again, it's for you. It's for a summer that was mapped out, or a 7 months that were mapped out, and it was going pretty as planned. That must have been like, well, this is a fork in the road that I didn't anticipate.
Yeah, I mean, I talked with Craig and Alex and Andrew, just on separate phone calls, and really to Brez's point is that what you just said, they wanted to go younger. They have some decisions that have to be made, and they wanted to see some guys come up in this September and pitch. And I understand that. I get that. I think there's nothing really to be mad about, or however, there's nothing to be angry about. But of course, frustrated, right? But not to the point where it's like I'm going to look back and be disappointed or whatever. Because I mean, it could have the other scenario was that I didn't do this, or I didn't go for it, right? And then I would be saying, well, what would have happened? I wonder what would have happened that year if I just put in the time and the effort over the summer, and got myself into a good position to have an opportunity, and then take advantage of that opportunity because I put myself in a good position to be in that opportunity, to have that opportunity. So for that, if I look at it from that perspective, it's pretty damn good. But if I look at it the other way and, kind of get hung up on it, I think that's also perspective and experience, right? Because it's just kind of, to me, it's moving forward. So now there's, okay, what after that, it's kind of like, all right, now I have to get ready for another possible opportunity that's going to, show itself. And I think that's really the way that, especially if I was younger, if this was, if you were talking to me when I was 25 or 26, it would be like, oh, devastation.
Well,
but that's the way I look at it. Yeah. So nothing but good things to take from it.
It's a great segue, because now I'm going to ask you the obvious question, which is what now? What are you doing? What's planning? Maybe you don't have your plan set or whatever it is. But what are you thinking?
I don't know. Run for president? I don't know. What do you think?
Too late.
Too late.
It's too late for a debate, so it's too late to run for president. I don't know.
We could both run for president, right?
I know what it's. Hey, listen. I don't know if you know this. Joe Castiglione. He just retired. He's retiring.
I know. I told him I want to go in. I want to do a game before, or just, be in there with him and Will for, I don't know what the schedule is looking like. It's obviously coming down to the last 8 days. So
I mean, honestly, I think that Joe would get you a car from your house to get to there, to basically put you in a pedicab to carry you up to the broadcast booth, whatever it takes to get you up to that broadcast booth.
I would love to do it. I would. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that has kind of gone through, across the bow. Do you play next year? Do you not? Is this something that you want? I know there's an opportunity to. I'm going to hear today possibly play with Team USA coming up in this Premier 12 tournament. So we'll see. I don't know, and then go from there. Whether that be retire, coach, get into some broadcasting and radio, or whatever that might be. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
You're not leading anyway right now. I mean, is it just too early, too raw? You have time?
No, I probably. I mean, it's like, hey, it's been great. It's been a really good, obviously run. But we'll see. I don't know yet. I think that making a decision, right now, I think would be probably a little bit too quick. But again, I've said this before. It's been saying that for the last 5 years.
Well,
So,
I got a feeling we could talk about it more on the podcast because there's
yeah,
a whole off season of awesome conversation to be had.
yeah, no, definitely.
The last two things where I've been asking everyone that has nothing to do with anything. First off, in the spirit of Halloween, are you a candy corn guy?
I do. I do like candy corn. I do. I like it. Does that mean like, do you eat it every day, or how? And are you a pumpkin candy corn guy, or are you the traditional candy corn guy? I like the traditional candy corn. I'll probably eat that. Get a bag of it. What is it? How do you say that? Brock's? Is it Brock's or Brax?
Yeah.
Brock's. Yeah. Get that one. You got to get that one. That's the best one. No knockoffs. And have a couple pieces or whatever, on that day. And then that's it. Yeah. I'm a candy corn guy.
Very polarizing topic. And in the spirit of you have a son that's going back to school, and I've been asked to identify the class that you say, well, why do I got to go to school and go to this class? Math. For yay or nay when it comes to math? Are you a math?
Yay.
Oh, yay.
Yay. Yeah. Am I a math guy?
Yeah,
or
you
is
like
Bryce? Bryce a math guy,
you.
or am I a math guy? I am not a math guy. I will do everything to avoid math.
See, that's why I ask.
That's it. I will debate. I will have an argument. I will get into an argument. I will enjoy getting into an argument, for the sake of arguing.
There you go.
And then I'll laugh at the end of it, and I hope the other person laughs too. But I found out that it's usually 60-40. I'm laughing, and they're not. So,
you like debate, but you don't like math,
right? Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Well, but Bryce likes math. He enjoys it, which is good.
You're raising a fine young man. So there you go. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it as always.
All right. Thanks, Rob.